Welcome to Virtually Mic'd. Hello everyone, thank you for joining in. My name is Heather Armstrong. I'm the owner and director of Scotia Music. We have a special treat this evening. My friend Tori Boltwood, based out of Texas, the United States, and from Florida, United States, is here to share her inspirations as well as a few stories about how she has become the rising star that she is. Thank you so much for joining us, Tori. Take it away. I'm so excited you're here. I remember I found you, when I just joined TikTok for the little bit that I was on TikTok, you were the first face that I saw. And I was like, who is this? And then I followed your music and I fell in love with you after Dino.
That's interesting because that was that was my most I should say because me and my co-writer Jameson wrote it, but it was probably our most experimental piece where I was just like trying to do something different because I always have this concept of what pop music is. And something that I've learned recently is pop is whatever you want to make it.
Exactly.
And I believe people that truly make a difference in music realize that being an original and being who you are and being true to yourself and being willing to take risks and go out of your comfort zone is the only way that we make improvements, we make advancements, we make new, beautiful things in music. You know, the most important people in music were pillars of it because they said, this is different than what people expect, but I am not going to shy away from who I truly am. So Dino was probably the most abstract piece we have done yet. And, you know, it was about I've experienced a lot of bullying as a kid, and to me that was kind of that song of saying, I know who I am. I have grown into the person that I want to continue to grow into, and I'm not going to be ashamed. I'm not going to be afraid. You know, the dino is like this concept, this abstract concept of the people who hurt you in the past, who are no longer there. Dinosaurs are no longer alive. They're fossils, you know? Well, you could say that alligators and stuff like that, but we're talking metaphorically. Not scientifically accurate, but not scientifically speaking, dinosaurs are no longer here. And so that's the people that, you know, have, you know, hurt you or caused you pain in the past. They're no longer, at least for me, and I'm thankful for it, they're no longer a part of my life. And I can't let them have power like they are still those intimidating, you know, monsters, because they're not. They aren't. I've grown up and I've realized as an adult, these people were just hurting themselves and lacking within themselves, and that's why they lashed out. And now all I feel is empowered and pity for them. So that was kind of the main theme of the song, is to kind of take your power and to not let anybody else, you know, dwindle it or try to make you become something that you're not. So it was kind of my empowerment song.
Love it. I absolutely love it. No, Dino is definitely, well, I love all your music, but that's the one that spoke to me first.
Thank you.
I do have a few questions for you.
Listen.
Question one, explain the moment where you knew you'd like to pursue a career in music.
Ooh, do we have 12 hours? Because honestly, I think the true thing about artists is we may have certain things that are like bright lights in our life that we're kind of like stronger than others. But we all have multiple different opportunities and different moments that make us want to do this. And, you know, and it keeps happening. I keep having new moments. But luckily for me, I was born into a family with my mother, my father, and my twin brother who have always supported, who have always loved, and who have always been there for me. My father always drove me to rehearsals because I've done musical theater since I was in middle school, and then high school was primarily where I really started to do it because I went to a charter art school called MSA in Florida. And so I kind of knew as soon as I got on stage that I was in love with singing and performing. So I did that in high school. I did that in college. I started to fall more and more in love with being true to myself and being true to my voice. And then, sorry, my dogs are barking.
That's all right.
We have 5 dogs. So it's hard.
5 dogs! Amazing!
We love my family loves animals. I grew up with a lot of pets, so it's, try to find a quiet moment when there's not dogs
Doesn't
barking.
happen. We had 5 cats, 3 dogs growing up. It was just like we were that house that had like the cats on the roof. That was
I get it as someone who grew up in a very similar household where we had like 4 cats and 4 dogs at one time, and it's like they're the best. Animals are almost better than human beings most of the time. But like I was saying, back on the topic, is that so I had that experience where I kind of was learning to fall in love with the craft, but I never really recognized what I wanted to be in that craft. It was always, I have to do this, I have to do that in order to be a part of this community of music, instead of saying, what do I really want? What do I really want to become? Because in musical theater, I struggled a lot because my voice type is not typical to
oh,
many
it's
of the.
so powerful.
Thank you.
It's rich.
You're so sweet. But most musical theater that was written, a very long time ago, or even just in the last few centuries, decades, it's been kind of primarily for sopranos. And, and if you are an alto or someone with a darker tonality, you're more the bad guy, or the old lady. I've played old ladies at like 15 because of my voice type. And so it was just, I always struggled with that. It wasn't ever, the limelight was never on you if you had that different voice in musical theater. And so when I moved to Texas about 4 years ago, I started reevaluating myself because I started auditioning for musical theater programs here in Texas. And I just started to think, do I want to continue for like 4 more years to educate myself in this, where I'm already kind of having difficult time finding myself? Or do I want to look within myself and see what is music to me? Because I didn't know. I was just doing whatever part I could, whatever part they would give me. And then when I started doing jazz band back in SCF, my college, that started to shift. Like that kind of shifted my view because I had only done musical theater and choir. So that was like the first time that I did performance art where it wasn't, here's your role, here's what you have to do, and here's how you have to do it. He would say, okay, what songs do you want to sing? These are the list of the ones that we would like to do. And you do it yourself. You kind of do it however it feels right for you. So that started the ball of, what music, creating it, writing it, doing myself. But I had never written music. I had only written poems, and I used to love to write fiction. And then my grandmother passed away about, I think, 3 years ago. Sometimes it's hard to remember because it's like it's not real. It's like she's still here sometimes. And during our last phone call, because we had a phone call before she passed, my grandmother was a very traditional person on what jobs she thought people could have. Love her, but she kind of had a very shallow view of what she thought people could do. She thought musicians were just people that magically appeared, She'd never really connected that they were just normal people as well. But during that conversation before it ended, she said, "You need to do music. This is your path. I tell you, Tori, this is what you're meant for. Do never give up. I love you. I've watched you chase this, and it has been one of the greatest pleasures of my life to watch you do it. And I hope you continue to do it even after I'm gone." And for someone who had been, kind of more, never really expressed that intensely before, to have her take that moment before, she wouldn't be there any longer, to take that moment where it was supposed to be all about her, and saying goodbye and saying I love you, and to give me that hope and to give me that inspiration. I knew that if she could believe in me, I had to believe in myself, and I had to reevaluate and really go for it, because I had always stayed in my comfort zone of doing the parts people gave me, learning the music that people wanted me to learn, and never ever thinking outside of that constriction, that I just thought, okay, I will always be in a musical theater program where people say, here's your part, here's your lines, here's your songs. And so after that conversation, and she passed away shortly after, I started writing lyrics for the first time.
Awesome.
And that is basically how, this whole beautiful, amazing, scary adventure.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, and then I found Jameson, who is my co-writer, and he helps me so much. I'm very lucky. And to find someone where you can where what you need and what you can give are the equal and they're the same, and and they mesh so well. I'm very, very thankful for him. So that kind of just how I got into music, and I decided on pop because I think it is the most open genre of music that there is out there. I just, it's just so vast. So many different things can be pop. But I also don't like to be restricted by genre because I use inspiration from all different kinds of things, rock, pop, everything. I could say there's some hint of inspiration from it. So,
Yes,
yeah.
with all of that musical history you have.
Yes, music
Very nice.
is
Yes. And I
people
love
say
how you said
it.
it's true that we have all those little moments because we do. Like, you have those little moments. You want it, but sometimes it just feels like you can't have it. It's
Yes.
one of those apples, I guess. Yeah.
Choosing to say that you are worthy of this because I think people, especially artists, we tend to think, who are we to think that we are good enough to share something to the world and then to respond positively back? And for anyone that thinks that way, I say, art is so vast and we try to put restrictions on it and we try to put guidelines on what makes it good and what makes it bad or what makes it right or what makes it, and it's not. If you love something and you want to give it to the world, know that you are worthy of that dream, that you are worthy of chasing it. And for someone who had crippling stage fright and never thought I would ever be doing anything like this, know that it is possible. So,
Oh, you're so sweet. I absolutely love you. I love you so much.
thank you.
Question two. Oh, question two. If you could perform with one musician, who would it be and why?
Man, such good questions with so many answers I
I
can give.
know. I looked at that.
On my list of just artists. Well, number one, I would definitely be honored to perform with you and to write and to make music with you because I think you're very talented and such a wholesome, awesome person. So
Oh my
that's
gosh, done. Done. I can't
definitely one
wait.
person. Also, but I've also, since I was a very little girl, I've loved Elvis Presley. My parents kind of raised me on his music. I kind of have old rock, classic rock upbringing when it comes to music. So if I could perform with a young Elvis Presley, because I think he kind of lost his spark with fame and how heavy it was upon him. Elvis Presley, a lot of people don't know, he suffered greatly through fame. So if I could perform with him when he was still vibrant and still had a lot of heart in his art, I think that would be so cool. So I know it's unrealistic, but that would be like my top dream. And then there's a bunch of other artists like Adele and Cher who are very strong, darker tonality female that have really helped shape me, that it would be honored just to be on the same stage or even watch them perform. So that is like the main like four people that I could off the top of my head think of performing with.
Oh,
But
that's
definitely, let's make it
Oh
happen.
yes, we're doing it. We are so doing it. And I love how you said Elvis Presley because you do have that deep sound that Elvis.
Well,
Yeah.
I think I shaped my sound after him a little bit, and I'm very thankful for his music existing because I don't think I would have ever believed in that tonality because I have received a lot of criticism because what people expect out of a female vocalist sometimes blows my mind. Like people forget that voice has nothing to do with gender or how you identify. Women can have sultry voices. Men can have higher tonality voices that, Bruno Mars, you look at him, he does not have a traditional, what you would say a masculine voice, but I think it's sexy. I think it's powerful. And so listening to Elvis, he kind of helped give me the inspiration to say, I love this sound and it comes naturally to me. And I'm not going to work hard to get rid of that because there was a period in my life where I tried to be what I wasn't. And I tried to sing like what I thought other female singer was because I grew up where, Britney Spears and she a very cool artist, but I knew I didn't sound like her. So yeah, but like when I was in high school, people used to call me the female version of Elvis because I did like Jailhouse Rock, his version of Jailhouse Rock. I do love Elvis, and he definitely shaped who I am as an artist. And you know, even though he's gone, I still hold him in my heart as the like this pillar of inspiration. So
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, and I love how you said that as an artist, we do kind of try, we forget to be ourselves. We go another way and we're like, okay, I can't sound like this. This isn't good enough. And then you try something else, and then you always just end up going back to yourself anyway. So it's good that you found that.
I think we all shift. I and that's something that I also had to learn was by getting vocal lessons and through vocal training and through just practicing the craft and writing, my voice has changed. I used to be a lot darker tonality because I didn't know how to use my voice. And with a little assistance, I realized that, you know, it was balanced with that fear. I was afraid of letting go, which was funny because I had always been like, oh, my voice, how do I change it to make it more acceptable? And then when it started to get healthier and shift as I aged, I was like, oh, I need to hold on to this. And so it's been kind of like a balance of learning to let go of what I think my voice has to be and just accepting it in the different stages of my life and taking empowerment and, you know, hope from that, that as long as it gives me the ability to express what I want to express and people can connect, I am okay with the changes that come with it. So I think that's important for a lot of different vocalists is to understand that your voice will change, but it doesn't change its worth. Your voice is not defined by what people think is right and wrong. It will change and it will morph as you age. And it's just beauty in all of its different phases.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. So third question, I'm not sure if we hit on it, but it was basically explaining which one of your singles do you have the strongest relationship with?
Well, I did express a lot of information about Dino,
Yeah,
but
that's what I was wondering.
Con Artist was probably the most my most recent release. Con Artist. Thank you. Thank you. It's probably the most fun that I've had writing because it was abstract. You know, it wasn't something that I experienced. It was I don't know if you've ever seen this musical, but it's called Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. And I learned about it when I was in like high school. And it's about how these con men were trying to bet and win against this woman that they thought was naive and innocent and blah blah blah, and they thought they had it in the bag and they were all fighting, you know, ego masculine, you know, stuff of I'm going to get her first, I'm going to get her money, and she ended up turning around and clearing them out, completely fooling them. And I just loved that concept where people tend to underestimate people. And through that, that person can turn around and be like, look, I was the one and I was the powerful one. I was the one that you underestimated and I turned around and made it something, you know? So it just was like the most fun that I had where I was like doing a lot of artsy kind of metaphors in it. Like it has a lot of layers. And it also is the most rock, like kind of classic rock inspired ones. So that was the most fun that I had writing. But the most like emotional connection that I have to a song is one that's not released yet. It's called I Love You More. It's coming out on my grandmother's birthday in memory of her on February 9th. And then the pre-save comes out on the 14th of this month. Because I'm going to try to, I always get super nervous about expressing the pre-save and trying to get people to like pay attention. Because I always feel like, you know, that it's a bother. And I have to remind myself, your music is worth, you know, expressing and showing, and you put all this into it. Don't be afraid to say, hey, this is happening. And if you want to be a part of it, I would love you to. So I Love You More is coming out on February 9th. It's the first release of this new year. And I'm very emotional about it. I'm very excited. I'm very nervous. Why I think it's the most like depthful connection I have with a song is it's the first song where I've like listened to it and I said, God, I wish somebody else could sing my song because I think it's so meaningful to me that I wish more people could hear it and that you know, you think, well, if this artist could have it, it could help more people. And I think that's when you really know that you love a song is you would be willing to give it up and have somebody else do it if it could help more people. So that's I think that has been like the first experience where I've like actually like legitly felt like, oh man, I wish somebody else could sing this song that had like more connection to people, that could help. So it's gonna be really cool. I think it's a song that, people that are in love, people that have lost somebody, people that are remembering, wedding. I think it is very vast in how it can touch people, and I'm hoping that that gets across, because that was our intention when writing. Because originally when I wrote it, it was very sad. It was really, because whenever I think about my grandmother and loss of the people that I love, because she was the only grandparent I grew up with. I had lost all of my other grandparents when I was too young to remember. So she was the only grandparent that I had. And so that was my first experience of losing someone as, not a child, as not someone who didn't really understand death. And and even when I think of it now, it just is something that laid so heavy in my soul. So when I first wrote it, and Jameson, and we're looking at this, he's like, "This is beautiful, but it's tragic. Is this how you want to remember that love?" And it's not, because I always say, loving her and loving people and loving who you love is worth the pain that comes with losing them. It is. I wouldn't trade the pain that I've experienced to not have known her and not to have loved her. So we decided to try to take multiple, it took a long time to write this song, multiple cracks at it. And I said, how do I make this something that is uplifting and still respectful of that sadness that I feel? So we worked really hard to try to make it something that, even though there's sadness in it and there's, that kind of feeling of loss, that ultimately it remembers and it honors that love. So that's why it's hard for me not to say that that is probably the most connective emotionally I've been to a song. But I have 3 new songs that are coming out in this new year that I am really excited, and I all have really cool connections to. So
Oh, that's so great. And it probably and she's probably smiling down.
thank you so much.
Oh, she definitely is. She's watching this and she's very happy, I bet.
I just want to make her proud. She helped inspired me to begin this journey, and I don't think I could continue this journey without giving celebration to that in a song. It took me a while to write it. I kept putting it off, and I was like, I need this, because I think we've all been through a lot with COVID and through the pandemic, and how, it just has disconnected us from our loved ones and not been able to be close to people. So, I think I needed this song for therapeutic reasons. I needed to write this, and I hope that she is up there able to hear me. The concept, the title, "I Love You More," is what we used to say, me and her. I would say, "I love you." She'd say, "I love you more." And I'd be like, "No, I love you more." And then in her last phone call, she said, "I love you more." And I said, "I'm going to let you win this one. But when I get up there, this is going to start all over again."
That's
Through
so
the tears, I'm trying to be funny, even in that moment. So that's where the title comes from. And that's where the main heart of that song is, that concept of, even though you're gone, even though you're not here, I love you still. That, that doesn't die, that doesn't disappear, that even though someone's not here physically, they'll always be here in your heart.
Oh wow. I love that.
Thank you.
Wow, it's 3:31. Doesn't the time flies?
Okay.
I was like, okay, we're gonna see if I can keep it short with 5, you know? And I'm like, it's so funny. I absolutely love it. It's so nice to talk to you.
I talk a lot, and it's something I'm trying to get better at. Like,
Oh, don't! I love it. You're keeping it going. Like, I absolutely love it. I love it.
I also had a lot of connection, so like being able to talk to you, it's like, okay, I have a friend. Let's
People, I know. Oh, I know. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. The next question I have is, what advice would you give for budding musicians? Now, I know you kind of touched it a little bit before, but yes, go ahead. Give
Oh
it.
god. Okay. Let's see if I can try to not talk for
Oh,
38.
no, take your time. I didn't want you to think that. I just wanted to let you know of time. If you needed to go anywhere, like.
I prepared for the fact that I would be chatty. When you said 10 minutes, I was like, it's like, I don't know if I know how to talk in 10 minutes. Because I like have so much to say, and it's like I want every opportunity to be able to, help people. If anything I can say can help somebody, that's so I always like I pour extra words into things. I'm like, that might have been unnecessary, but hey, it might help somebody.
That's a
Out
good
of
way
the
to
30.
think.
But I guess that's such a good question too, because it's an important topic, because I think we overlook the community sometimes because we get so focused on the industry instead of the community of artists. Because one thing I had to learn through this craft is how thankful and lucky I am, because there are so many musicians out there that do not have the capability or the opportunity to create their own music. And especially in the independent artistry, one of the best things that I can say is this is difficult. This will throw a lot of things at you. The best advice I can give is know that staying true to who you are is the most important thing, because the industry, the music industry, the fashion industry, everything that leaks into this musical career that we want to have will try to tell you who you have to be as an artist, who you have to be as a person. And, it's just, you have to be true to yourself, because it's so easy to let the world change you. And with art, we always worry about, am I good enough for this? And do I have to change who I am to be this music artist? Because, there'll be people that say you have to sexualize yourself. You basically have to sell who you are. You have to make compromises on what you believe. You have to, be edgy and write lyrics that maybe aren't from your heart, because that's pop culture or that's whatever music genre you want to do. And honestly, the one thing that I've learned is be true to yourself, because if you don't stand for that, you will fall for everything. You will let the most beautiful part of who you are, who is that you are an original, be changed and be shifted by someone else's hands. Change is beautiful. It is natural. It is something that will happen, but make sure it is by your own choices. Make sure it's by your own hands. Make sure it is something that you want, not that you think you have to do in order to do this path, because there is enough room for everyone. There's enough room for all these voices. We're not competing against each other. This is not, I have to be better than this person, or I have to tear this person down because they could steal my audience. Real people will come for you. They will not come if you're trying to take them away from somebody else. I listen to a bunch of different artists, and I listen to them because of who they are, not because they're better, not because they do a certain, thing that makes them cooler. It's, I am here for their originality. And I think as an industry, we tend to do this like horse race almost. And the industry likes to do this. They like to make us compete against each other. And that's not how it is. Truthfully, in the heart of it is, this is not a competition. This is a family. This is a community. And if we build each other up, if we support each other, if we stand together and say, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to make women producers feel less than just because the industry has been primarily male. So what? Change happens, and it's happening, and we're going to make sure to support each other in that. So just to know that good, true good, if we want this music industry to become better, that we have to support each other, that we have to support originality, that we have to support that this is not a competition against each other, that this is proving, we are good enough as we are. We are good enough as what we want to be, and we don't have to take that away from anyone else. I wrote a song, Fame,
I
and
was
that,
gonna say Fame. This is Fame. This is
yes,
like the version, the written version of Fame, and,
yes,
and then Fame's the poem. Or the
yes. Fame started out as a poem about me talking about, because in musical theater, unfortunately, I think it's taught that where teachers teach musical theater, that you have to compete with each other, because in the big bad world, it's a dog eat dog world out there. Well, guess what? It's going to continue to be that if we don't say we don't accept that.
right.
Teach kids, teach young performers to be, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get a part because somebody likes who I am and what I do. And if they give it to somebody else, obviously that is somebody's personal choice. And, you know, casting with musical theater, it is all about what a director wants. It has nothing to do with how talented you are. So I just wish that musical theater, you know, that was where that fame kind of came into play, is where I wanted to say, I grew up realizing how, you know, teachers kind of allowed this concept to flourish, where they should have said, you're not allowed to treat each other like that. We need to build each other up and be a team, you know? So fame, it was that concept of what I believe the best advice I can give to people is, you know, the world will tell you, don't help other people. Don't, because they might take away from you. But you say no. Then I would have to shut out everybody. Right. If you thought that way, you know, that's one of the lines. I would have to close out the entire world if I was like that. No, be kind to everyone. Support other artists, because
transparency over blindness.
There is no weakness in this kindness, because I have always been someone that, even when I'm jealous, because jealousy is a natural thing, it is, but it's how you let it affect how you treat other people that makes a difference between a natural thing and something that can become harmful. And I have experienced jealousy in what people have achieved and how talented people are, but I know that my jealousy is not something that is their fault. It is that I want to continue to grow, and that I need to work on something within myself. And that was what fame kind of based around, is that I have always been taught by my parents, thankfully, that, you know, if you feel this way, it's natural. Don't feel ashamed. No shame in it. But know that this is something you need to work in yourself and not take out on other people. And I think that's an important lesson with the music industry is, you know, let's support each other. Let's be kind to each other. Let's make sure that we don't let the industry change who we are and change our hearts. Kindness is so important. Love is so important. Support other people is so important. And if we let the industry take that away from us, we let it win. We let the bad parts of the industry win. And I refuse. I refuse. It would be so much easier in some cases to surrender to what you think you have to be for society to be in the industry. But I refuse. If that means that nobody will listen to my music because I won't compete and I won't tear down other people, so be it. Then it's not meant to be. I know that I would rather have less people listening and be true to myself and be true to what morals I believe in than have all the people listening and give up who I truly am. This industry, it will either try to change you or you will change it. And I am determined to change it. I'm not going to let it change me, because it's a beautiful thing, but it also, just like I say all the time, the world is ugly, but it's also beautiful. And we either feed into the beauty or we feed into the ugly. I will not feed into the ugly parts of this industry. So that's my best, you know, that's my best advice, is don't feed into those concepts that you think you have to do in order to grasp it. You are worthy as you are, 100%, to have this career. You do not have to give up parts of yourself in order to achieve it. You don't have to change yourself. Hi, Dad. Hi, Dad. I knew you would do this.
How are you? Oh, Mama. How are you?
All the time. So I knew you were coming.
I heard Tori was on with my favorite girl, so I had to run in and say good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Good.
Oh, good.
Who's trying to get in?
Yeah.
Cashew.
And then your other favorite is
Cash. I don't know if you can.
Cash.
Sorry, you can't really say.
Say hi to him.
Cash is in here. He follows.
Well, I just wanted to say hello. And
oh no, it's nice. Nice to see you.
Always good to see you too.
Oh. Oh, that was sweet.
I think let's just take a few more minutes. I've been talking.
There's only one more question.
Okay.
The last question is, what is next for you? Now, you did say you have singles coming, so you might have said it already, but what's next for you?
Well, definitely that. But, you know, because like I said before, I think as artists, we always tend to think we have to do certain things to be artists. Like, you know, big albums. Big albums are, in a lot of people's minds, what you have to do to be an artist. Like, if you can't produce this big album, are you really an artist? And I think albums are great. I think, releasing 12 songs, fantastic. But what has proven to work for me right now is to do consistent music, and be able to market it, for a longer period of time, because I can do concentrated things. I have yet to grow to I don't understand marketing like at all. So the concept of trying to market a gigantic project is pretty daunting when I'm still learning how to just market individual singles. So, a bigger project is definitely something that I'm very passionate about, but I also know that I don't have to do it to be an artist. That I'm enjoying so much just, focusing on something that's a very healthy pace for me, which is, making singles and releasing consistently and, kind of building that bridge. So definitely more singles, definitely want to start working on a bigger project, but not, force myself to.
No, the singles are great.
Thank you.
Do have fun with the singles. And nowadays, that's what they say. They say just singles. That's
Well, an important thing that I read is that they said, don't really force yourself to make an album until there's an audience that will consume it, until there's that you feel like it will be received by enough people to make it worth that investment. Because as an independent artist, I feel like we always try to, burden ourselves with, we have to do this, we have to do that. And just the ability to make your own music is a gift, so don't weigh yourself down with these expectations that, could harm your ability to do that because you think you have to do something in order to be an artist. So I definitely want to start working on a bigger project, but naturally, not, oh gosh, let me get it done. So, if it takes a while, that's perfectly fine for me. Music videos is something that I want to start looking into as well. Again, it's a big investment for independent artists.
crazy. Oh my goodness, yes. And there's little tricks of the trade and such, but yes, I totally get you with the music videos. Very pricey.
Everyone wants to make music videos, but I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, if I can't make them high quality, I would rather wait, because Dino, I'm not going to be able to at home make a video for Dino that's going to be any sense. This is a very intense song, so it's just like understanding that you don't have to do this to be correct. Like that. Oh, I'm an artist, I have to make music videos. Make music videos when the opportunity is the healthiest for you, where you can afford it, where you can, make that dream come true. But I do like all my promo, all my graphics, a lot of my covers are self-made, because independent artistry, you have to make that work for you. We have these expectations where you have to have like photo shoots and and it's like, I do the best with what I can do. But music videos are definitely something I want to start looking into, kind of do more research and kind of figure out if that's something that, that I can do with good, I want it to be good quality. And that's, with me, I'm always going to invest in the quality of the music before I sacrifice it for anything else. Even with marketing, I spend most of my funds on the creation of the music, because I believe that other stuff will come. People will come to you. You're having that song that is the quality that you want it to. People will find that, and those songs can be discovered years later. Like the song that was in Despicable Me, the Happy song, that was like out for 10 years and invisible.
It was, and it's so good. Yeah.
But he invested in the ability to have this good quality song. And even though the audience wasn't there yet, it just got the right time at the right place, the right song, and it blew up. And that's what you have to understand, is sometimes music, we're all figuring it out as we go, is that you will make this song and it will continue to have the opportunity to perform throughout your entire life. Don't have this, like, it has to perform this in this amount of time. Right. Things will organically become what they're meant to be. Right. You can't force fate. Fate will occur. You can put in work to make it more able to happen, but your moment will come. Just be willing to understand that some things are meant to happen at different points of your life. I say it all the time. I wish I was writing music when I was 12 years old. I would not have been writing good music. If I put out music when I was 12, 14, 15 years old, I was so lost that it would have been music that I would look back on today and know wasn't true to who I was, because I didn't have any grasp on who I was. I'm still figuring it out every single day. But I'm so thankful, because I'm turning 26. I almost said 27. Don't age yourself. Jeez. I'm turning 26. And, we have like this age thing about, music, and it's like, what are you talking about?
Oh yeah, true.
Age is just a number, baby. I'm just getting started. Don't worry about me, baby. I got this. So it's, it doesn't go with that concept of like, oh, 27, you're too old for this industry.
Oh, I
No.
know. Well, I mean, like I'm 36.
What? Liar. Liar.
Oh,
36. No,
I'll age it. I'll say it. I don't care.
no, you don't look a day over 22. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? No lying allowed. No lying allowed, girl.
Don't
Woo.
lie aloud online.
No. Honestly, I did. I did.
I'm
I had
17.
no idea.
I'm 17. Let's just be honest.
Yes. Let's be honest. I'm still like 18 mentally. What are we talking about?
Yeah, it's just a number.
I act goofy, and that's one of the reasons is because, I am young at heart. I have an old soul, but I'm also young at heart. So it's like, I have nothing to worry about. If you
win.
I do have a twin. I do have a twin brother. He is the light of my life. I love that kid with all my heart. There's not many people that I would say, if God came to me and said, "Okay, you can never sing again, but he can stay," I'd be like, "Okay." I wouldn't even think about it. I love music, but I would 100% choose that kid over the ability to make it any day of the week. He's an angel. My brother has had 3 open heart surgeries, and he continues to be the most positive angel on earth human being. That's another reason why I continue to do this, because my brother is so positive and such a force of good that it's like, if he can believe in the world and if he can believe in me, God, with what he's been through, how can I not try my very best? God gave me an amazing twin brother. He has saved me. He has made me who I am. He has given me hope when I've lost hope. And I am not going to take that blessing lightly, So he's amazing. My brother, he gives me hope that if my brother can go through that and look at the world in such a positive way, because sometimes the world can feel heavy. And, making music for sometimes a heavy world can feel hard. And it's like, if my brother can see the light, if my brother can see the beauty in this world, and he's been given so much, I'm not giving up. My brother's never given up, and I can't give up either. Both me and my brother were born 2 months premature with heart defects. He had 3 open heart surgeries. I had 1 heart surgery when I was 17 days old, and that has shaped who I am as an artist a lot as well, because I think I write with more intention, because I know that I was given this second chance at life, because my mom and my parents fought for our lives. We weren't meant to live past like 15, and we're here at 20, 26. We weren't supposed to graduate. We weren't supposed to be mainstream in school. So, and that always gives me fire too. If I can not be limited by what even the doctor said, I'm not going to be limited to change myself in music either. That's something that I hold very dear. The only obstacles that truly exist are the ones that we accept. In the music industry as well. There will be people that will tell you 100 different reasons why you can't do it. You can do it. 100%. I have belief in you. I know that you are powerful. You are talented. You are beautiful. You are a beautiful soul. I know that you make music with intention and heart, and that you are meant to do this. You are put on this earth to make it better with not only your existence, but with your music.